We will start the class with 3 ohms. Vasudevasutam devam kamsachanuramarthanam devaki paramanandam krishnam vande jagadgurum. Today we will take up for our study chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, which I introduced last week. And today we will complete this chapter. We have seen in chapter 2 that every individual has got 2 natures. One is the body, mind, and intellect, which is called as prakriti in the Bhagavad Gita. And the second is what is called as purusha, or the awareness principle. We must be very clear throughout our study these 2 principles, which was taught to us in the 2nd chapter of the Gita itself. Once we have this in the background, we must understand that our entire study is to realize that I am that pure consciousness principle. I am not the body, mind, and intellect, which is prakriti. Prakriti means born of 5 elements. Prakriti has got a nature of doing action. So this is explained very much in detail in chapter 13 of the Gita. Till then, we have to understand our nature of how we do actions in life. Nobody can stop action. Nobody can stop acting in life, because that is our nature. This is our lower nature. Our higher nature is we are pure consciousness. This chapter 3 is got 43 verses, 3 topics: karma yoga, what are the 2 lifestyles, and the third one is how to win over anger and desire. The first topic and the first verse of this chapter: Jayasi chet karmanaste matha buddhir janardhana tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. This is how Lord Krishna is being asked by Arjuna. Arjuna is asking a question. If you think that knowledge is superior to action, why are you telling me to do karma? Go and fight in the battlefield. Why? To this, Lord Krishna's answer is very simple. You cannot jump into Jnana Yoga directly. There is a process involved. First step is Karma Yoga. The second step is Jnana Yoga. So we must be very clear when we study this chapter that first Lord Krishna is teaching Arjuna how to do actions in life. In chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, these 3 chapters are primarily focused on how to act in life. Many people ask, what can I learn from the Bhagavad Gita? To that, there are two answers. One, you can learn how to act in the life. Number two, you can know your real nature. Some people are very happy with the first part and then they leave and they pick up only the first part. I want to just know how to lead my life well. That's all. Very few people go to the second section of trying to know their own nature. So many people you will find in the Bhagavad Gita when they study, they just study a few chapters which are more important, they feel, and then they leave. Some people want to know their nature, they study important chapters which pertain to the self-knowledge. So once we know that Karma Yoga is the first step in our life, we must do action properly with the attitude of purifying our mind. So what are the two aspects of Karma Yoga? One is proper action and the second is proper attitude. Whenever we say what a proper action, what we mean is what are the different types of actions we should do. To that, generally the scriptures tell us that there are certain actions which you should not do, that is called as nishkama karma. Nishkama karma means these are vihita karma, which we should give up, nishiddha karma. Nishkama means compulsory actions which we must do. Nishiddha karma means we must give up immediately now. There are certain actions like himsa. We should not hurt anybody. We should not speak ill about anybody. That is all coming under nishiddha karma. The second karma is nishkama karma or vihita karma, which is our day-to-day puja which we do. We should not give up that puja at all. All the rituals which we follow, they are all called as vihita karma, selfless actions. The third type of karma is called as sakama karma. Sakama means based on likes and dislikes of an individual. Suppose I want to get a child, I do certain actions. Those are called as sakama. That means with a desire. We do so many different types of actions. 90%, 95% of our actions are all today is all sakama karma. Most of us, we don't do nishiddha karma. We follow a lifestyle in which we just fulfill our desires in life. That is our normal. 99% of the people are more or less into the second category. Very few people get into the vihita karma, that means follow scriptures, follow exactly what are the rituals to follow, and we are going towards a higher level of realization. That is all comes under nishkama karma. Panchamaha yagya, which I will explain later, is also proper action which we must do in life. While doing action, what should be our attitude? Lord Krishna here teaches us a very beautiful attitude while doing actions. He says you follow these two principles. One principle is Ishvara arpana buddhi. Ishvara arpana buddhi means all our actions we dedicate to a higher principle and say, I'm not doing these actions, I'm just doing it. The body is doing it as an action which we do for Ishvara's happiness. That means we do actions But all the actions we surrender at the feet of the Lord. That is one attitude. The second is while getting the result of our actions, we say it is not as per my desire, but it is Lord's desire to give me this result. I may have expected to stand first in the class, but I got the third rank. Well, I worked hard, I struggled, but then the result is not in my hands. There are so many factors involved. Karma of so many people around me is also involved. Therefore, the best attitude is whatever experiences we have in our life, as and when they come to us on a daily basis, every one of us are experiencing the result of all the karmas which we have done. This is the general law of this universe, all of us. Whether you like it or not, this law is applicable in the universe. So with that, we see what is the 5 types of actions which the scriptures teach us. The first one is called as Deva Yagya. Second is called as Pitru Yagya, Rishi Yagya, Manushya Yagya, and Bhuta Yagya. Deva Yagya means all the daily rituals which we do, all the like a puja at home, lighting a lamp at home, and Agni Hotram, sometimes we perform certain fire rituals. Those are all comes under Deva Yagya. The second is called as Pitru Yagya. In many religions, we have certain ancestral rites to be performed. Very simple is we just do a namaskaram or a prostration to our parents. That is called as Pitru Yagya. That is now, or when they pass away, we do certain rituals for them. Rishi Yagya is we start chanting the Vedas. When we chant, which is called as Parayanam, we are propagating the Vedas. We are propagating what the rishis have discovered in the form of mantras. We are chanting those mantras to purify our mind. And that is what is called as Rishi Yagya. Then Manushya Yagya is social service. I go and help people suffering from COVID. I teach yoga. I go and help the deaf and dumb people. So many social service people are involved in. Selfless service. That is also a part of actions. Bhuta Yajna means trying to feed a cow. Taking care of cows in India is a very, very big activity. Even taking care of plants and trees at home or in the surrounding, that is all Bhuta Yajna. Bhaja Govindam says that don't try to spend all your life amassing wealth. Devote your mind to the thoughts of the real Atma. Whatever comes in the world, in your life, accept it and be content. This contentment is what Bhaja Govindam teaches. Contentment is extremely difficult to have because we are all born with the urge to earn more and more and more. We want more and more desires to be fulfilled. But what Lord Krishna is teaching here is be contented with whatever comes. Up to a certain extent, yes, we all have to perform. We have to have our daily requirements met. But beyond that, this is what Bhagavad Gita teaches us. So proper attitude is doing all actions as Ishvara Arpana. If our desires are legitimate, moderate, whether it is fulfilled or not fulfilled, let us be contented and take it as per the law of karma, we will get the results. What happens when we have this attitude towards action, and when we do these type of actions, what happens to the human mind? The human mind gets peaceful. That is the most important goal which we want to achieve. When we say we want to purify the mind, these are the methods by which we can make the mind peaceful. Shiva Manas puja is a very, very beautiful method of doing a worship of the Lord in the mind. That means we close our eyes and we imagine that the Lord is in our heart. My body is like a temple, and I am doing a worship of the Lord in me. My intellect, my buddhi is performing action. The prana in my body is the Lord's prana. My interactions with the world are His worship. That means internally I worship the Lord. And what we say is, even when my feet is walking around in the world, it is like a pradakshina for the Lord. Because the Lord is there in this body, therefore all my actions are devoted to the Lord. This is a beautiful way of presentation of how one can do a worship mentally. Some people believe work is worship. That means I don't go to a temple, I don't do any other rituals, but I work hard and I work to the best of my ability. That itself is worship. So there are two sides to our personality. One is we are karta. Karta means we are doer of actions throughout our life. So for that aspect, we say Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. That means I dedicate my actions to the Lord or to a higher principle. You can just say there is some power. It is the body which is acting as per the law of karma, law of action and reaction in the world. And I dedicate to that power, because each one of us, if you realize internally, you will find that we all have Shakti, the power to talk, the power to act, the power to think. These are all Shakti. They all belong to some superior power. Then the second aspect of our personality is we are Bhokta. Bhokta means we are enjoying the result of the actions. Any action has got a result. Any action, any karma which we do has got a result. So when the result comes, we take the result as with prasada buddhi. What we say is, what I deserve, I will get, not what I desire. This is should be our attitude. What I deserve, I will get as per the stage in my life, not what I desire in life. Because desires can be infinite. Implicit surrender to the will and justice of God is called as karma yoga. Don't blame the family or the neighbor or the devatas for when you get the results if they are not as per your expectations. Some people say that as per astrology or the lines in my hand, I'm getting all bad results. Total acceptance without resistance is what is called as a proper attitude. Any resistance to a result causes sorrow, fear, depression. Therefore, this type of attitude of prasada buddhi is what is recommended. So these two things are the central theme of the Karma Yoga chapter 3. If somebody asks you, what do I learn in this chapter, you should be very clear. I do proper action, and when results come, I accept. What are the angles by which we do Karma Yoga? That means with what attitude again? We can go with the attitude that this is a commandment from the Lord. This is called as Ishvara niyatam. Niyatam means it is a directive of some superior principle. I just say that I will follow because it is my duty to follow. Even the maintenance of the body is not possible if I am not acting. That is what is said in the 8th verse of this chapter. Niyatam kuru karmatvam karmabjayo ya karmanaha shariretyapi chate na prasiddhit karmanaha. What it means is, this is what Lord Krishna says, that even if you don't want to do anything, even for the maintenance of the body, you have to do certain actions. Then the second mature way of acting is taking it as a yagya. Yagya means it is a worship I do as a bounden duty, like if you look at nature, you will find that the entire nature is acting, is also working, but without any selfish motive. The tree gives fruits, the cow gives milk. These are all the yajna attitude. The third attitude can be, I want to maintain dharma. Dharma is, I want to maintain harmony in creation. That is what is explained in the 14th verse. Then achara and samskara karma. That means, in order to be an example, a shrestha purusha, that means I want to be a role model. Therefore, I want to do good actions in life. So these are the 4 angles by which one follows Karma Yoga. While doing our daily puja, we should note that I am doing this daily puja because it is my duty. That is what we should learn when we are doing any action. Kathopanishad very clearly says that even the prana, that means the movement of breath in our body, is an action, and it is controlled by a superior power. So we cannot stop any action. In Taittiriya Upanishad, they say the wind blows because of fear of that Lord. The sun rises because of the fear of the Lord. Therefore, actions we cannot avoid. Actions are a part and parcel of this body's living in this world. We do duty as a member of family, as a member of a country. We become mature. We are created human beings of the Lord and have to follow the rules as per what He has put in this world. These are all the ways in which we understand that the world is bound by actions. It's bound. Right from birth to death, we are all bound by actions. And when we do these actions, we will get results. We get results from the Lord. So as a gratitude to the Lord, from whom we have got so much in life, this body itself is a gift to us from the Lord. So when we worship, We say it is an acknowledgement of our gratitude for this beautiful gift called as the body. These are all the ways in which Lord Krishna is telling that should be our attitude. Should be our attitude while acting in the world. Creation is interdependent cyclic process. There is a give and take to maintain harmony. From food, annat bhavanti bhutani parjanya anna sambhava yajnat bhavati parjanyo yajna karma samudbhavaha. What it says here is, from food comes the human beings. From rain comes the food, and from the from different sacrifices in nature, the entire harmony is maintained. Cows eat and give milk. Trees take nutrition from the earth and give fruits. If water is stagnant, there is no use. It cannot be used for bathing. So similarly, what we should do is, we should not keep money hoarding it, but we should share in life. Whether it is knowledge, whether it is any type of, even time. For example, we can devote time to help others. One very important aspect of the Hindu way of life is purifying rites which we perform in life. They are called as samskaras. So a lot of our actions, religious actions, are to fulfill this rites. Generally in Hinduism, there are 16 samskaras, we say, which are very, very important samskaras. They are all basically meant for the refinement of the mind. Without the samskaras, we are, according to what Swami Chinmayananda will say, we are animal man. From animal man, we become man. And then from man, we have to become God man. So this refinement of the human mind takes place when we do the rites which are there. In most of the families, we all know it has come from our elders. There are different samskaras. Samskaras means purifying rites, right from conception, for the fetus protection, during birth, during the time of giving a name to a child, or when we take the first time, we take the child outdoor, or we do the ear piercing, or we give the solid food to a child. We all do different samskaras. These are all called as samskaras. We do some sort of a ritual at home. Very famous ritual is Upanayanam, which is the thread ceremony. Or when we start studying the Veda, or when the child gets its first haircut, if it's a boy, then we have marriage samskara, then we have Vanaprastha as a samskara, as a ritual. Sannyasa is also a samskara. Then ultimately Antyashti. Antyashti is the ceremony after a person passes away. So these are all the samskaras which we are doing in life, including Sandhya Vandanam, including Shraddham. These are all meant for the purification of the mind. Our mind is a gross mind. We need to make this gross mind into a subtle mind. And how do we do that? We cultivate virtues, values. We add values to our mind. It is not easy, but it will take almost a full lifetime to cultivate values. We will see in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, we will see what is called as Devi Sampat. That means the values which are divine values. How do I develop them? And what are the values which I should drop? That is called as asuri sampada. We need to remove the negative traits in our mind and add on the positive virtues. Each one of us has to look at himself or herself and see what are the 2 or 3. We don't have to go to all the 16, 20. We'll be studying all these values in very big detail in other chapters. But even if there are 2, 3 important ones, we can keep as a goal. I know some people who take one virtue and they follow it throughout the year. Very good. If you can just take one and say, I will follow this throughout the year. And then what happens is the mind, every time it is digressing, it goes back and it follows. This is what is called as discipline in the mind. So these are the ways in which we do as a yagya, karma yoga as a yagya. Then we have to see, then Arjuna asks a question. After gaining chitta shuddhi, that means after purification of the mind, should one follow karma yoga or not? The answer is, technically it is not required, but logically it will be required. That means what we say is, even after the purification of the mind, what we as grihasthas, as householders, what we should do is we should continue our karmas, reduce the karmas a little bit so that we can focus our mind on Jnana yoga. So the answer is, keep on doing work as per what is prescribed in the Bhagavad Gita with the attitude of worship to the Lord, and then reduce the karmas as we grow in age, reduce the kamya karma, and then follow a lifestyle of Jnana yoga. That means start learning the Bhagavad Gita, which is what we are all doing now. Like we wash a cloth till it is cleaned, or we travel, when we travel, we want to go to London, we say, okay, we'll take a plane, and then once the London destination is reached, then the karma is dropped, and then we take up something else. So similarly, karma yoga is the first step. As long as we are living in the society, we must practice karma yoga because it is to bring harmony in life, in the society. Of course, somebody might say, well, if I live in the forest, well, that is a different question. But for our general grihastha way, we must follow karma yoga lifestyle till the end, and then try to gain jnana. So there is one verse here, which is 21st verse. Very beautiful verse. It says, Lord Krishna teaches this. He says, Yadyat achariti shreshtaha tatta deve toro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tavvano artate. That means whatever great man does in life, people will imitate. Therefore, you follow karma yoga. In order to be a model for the next generation, and to teach our own sons or daughters at home, if we follow a proper karma yoga lifestyle, they will follow us. Because there are certain subtle things which children learn by seeing. They see how we act in the society. Certain values are learned only by observation. They say the children learn a lot, especially till the age of 8 or 10. They learn a lot by observation. They observe a mother, they observe a father, they observe the siblings. And then they will learn all the in their own attitudes are getting formed during the first 8-10 years. At that time, if the child gets a proper understanding of looking at the parents or the siblings or the people around in a proper way, that child will come out shining. Once the personality is set, it's extremely difficult, like a growing plant. When it is in the initial stages, it is pliable. You can adjust the direction. You can put a protection for a plant. We can put a stick so that it can go around in a certain fashion. So similarly, our personalities. At a young age, if we can cultivate, that is why Bhagavad Gita, if it is learned at a young age, it is good, because we can make use of what the teachings are of the Gita throughout our life. Very beautiful way, if at all we can come to that Jnana Yoga part and accept and learn with complete faith, that can give a tremendous contentment in life. So that is what is called as Shrestha Achara. That means being a role model. The Dharma or the values are not absolute. They are relative. What is good in a particular society, it can change. Speaking the truth, if it is going to hurt somebody, they say don't speak. So when it is relative. So from varna to varna, situation to situation, we must see the situation and take actions as per what is required. Ahimsa means non-violence is taught throughout the Gita, but still Arjuna was asked to fight because he was a Kshatriya. And a Kshatriya is, Dharma means duty. The duty is to fight and protect the country, protect the law and order. Ahimsa is a general rule, but it can be interpreted as per the society's requirements. But what we do is we interpret Dharma as per our own likes and dislikes, and then we get into a problem. Suppose we try to follow as per our likes and as per our own convenience, we will generally tend to commit a sin. So we should be clear that the sources of Dharma are the Shruti, Smriti, and what elders have taught us, not our likes and dislikes. Our likes and dislikes are our vasanas. So we must be able to control the vasanas as much as possible. What I'm saying is it's not so practical in life, but we have to make an effort. What the Shruti says is follow principles of Dharma. The entire Karma Kanda portion is all for Dharma Shastra. Smriti means Bhagavad Gita. And Shrestha Achara is elders' actions, which we see, either of a jnani or a pure person. It is important because looking at that, we will know what we should follow, what we should not follow. So Arjuna many people ask this question, why was Arjuna asked to fight again and again, even though Lord Krishna wanted to teach him Jnana Yoga? Why so much? Why Himsa was prescribed in the Bhagavad Gita? Because they have not understood this first step is Karma Yoga. Many people I have seen arguing with acharyas. They say this particular point. Why was Arjuna asked to fight and kill people? So this is, you must be, if you have this question in your mind, you must be very clear that Arjuna was asked to fight because he was a Kshatriya. Suppose you're a policeman or a police inspector in a society, and then if you don't go and do your duty of taking care of the for protecting the people, then nobody else can. That is your duty. So similarly, a doctor, for example, when a doctor is operating on a patient, it is his dharma, her dharma, to, whether if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, follow your dharma. There are other chapters where Lord Krishna will teach us how we should follow our swadharma and act. We'll see that in the next chapter. Mai sarvani karmani sannyasya chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yuddhasva vigadajvaraha. This is a very important verse of the third chapter. It teaches us how we should act. This can be followed by all of us. The first rule is adhyatma chetasa. Adhyatma chetasa means I must have a viveka buddhi. Viveka buddhi means I should be able to discriminate while acting. Discriminate the mind. In what are the ways we should act? There are 4 tips which are given here. The viveka buddhi should be applied. Then the second is, that is called as adhyatma chetasa. That means I should use my intellect to check whether what I am doing is right or wrong. The second principle is vigata jvaraha. Vigata jvaraha means I must not be agitated. I should not be with tension while acting. Samatvam, that means while doing action, I must make sure my mind is calm. And how do I make this mind calm? By knowing that I am the Atma, which is not acting. I am pure consciousness principle. I give life to the body and mind to act. But I am not the actor. This is the way of vigata jvaraha. That means you can be feverishly acting in the world completely. You must be, working 16 hours a day. You can, if you have this attitude that the body and mind is acting, I am not acting. This is what is the central theme of the next chapter. In the next chapter, Lord Krishna will teach us how I can have the jnana of Atma being a akarta and the body and mind being a karta. And how do you act? The entire 4th chapter is teaching us that attitude. Jnana karma sannyasa. But here he just gives a glimpse and he says, act without tension. The third aspect while acting is without anxiety for the result. Very, very important. If a child is thinking, I must come first, and all the attitude, all his mind's energy is going towards the result of action, then what will happen is he will miss out the energy required for acting. Let results come. My job is to do the duty. I will do the duty right now. That's all. I don't care about what is going to happen, whether I'll get good marks, whether I don't get good marks, whether I get a salary increase at the end of the year or not. I will keep on doing the best I can. That's all. And the last he says is nirmayaha. Nirmaya means without ego. Nirmama, nirahankaraha. These are all words where we say that it is not the body, it is the body which is acting. I am the pure consciousness, awareness principle. The ego is there, it owns up the body. This is the I notion in the body, which says I am the actor. So the ego, the ahamkara, is the actor in the body, is the doer in the body. It is that ego which gets the result of actions. It is the ego which is learning here how to act properly. These are all related to the prakriti, the material part, the five elements. All actions are ultimately done by the kshetram, the field in which we are acting. The body, mind, and intellect is acting in the field of this world of five elements. So with this 30th verse, Lord Krishna, he completes one topic and he says, this is the essence of karma yoga. And renouncing all the actions in the mind to me, that means to the higher principle of consciousness in this body, we say that I am not acting. It is the body mind which is acting. That is these are the 4 points which we must keep in mind. If you at any time if you are confused as to how to act, come back and check any of these 4 points. You will find that 90% of our times we are always acting with tension. Vigata jvaraha is a very, very critical aspect. Calm down and then act, and you see the quality of your actions will improve dramatically. Very, very different aspect. This is a very beautiful verse of the Bhagavad Gita. It can be practiced. These are the verses which we can easily practice in life, but it is something which we have to keep in mind all the time. It does not come all of a sudden. This is called as abhyasa. Abhyasa means regular practice will give us the improvement which is required in life. The third topic is kama krodha jayaha. See, what is anger? Anger is nothing else but a different form of desire. It is the desire which is not fulfilled gives rise to anger. So what Lord Krishna is teaching us is, he says you take care of the desire, then anger will automatically be taken care. And these two things are a very big hurdle to spirituality. Anger and desire. Anger, kama is desire, anger is krodha. Very, very big problems in spirituality is these two. And these two obstacles, very difficult to cross over, but we have to keep making an attempt. What are the 3 ways, or what are the 3 methods, the means to control our desires? This is again a very beautiful verse. Indriyarthendriyarthertha ragadvesho vivastithau tayorna vashamagachetau hasya paripanthinau. So one of the most beautiful verses, again, which can be practiced, which we can learn how to practice. What Lord Krishna teaches here is that the desire and aversion, where is the seat of this? He says the seat is the sense organs. And he says that let a person not come under their sway, as they are the enemies. Desire and aversion are in the sense organs. That means eyes want to see something, your tongue wants to taste something, but therefore these are all the impulses which are born out of the sense organs. The mind is different. The reflection, when the reflection of consciousness falls on the mind, that is the jiva. That means I am the jiva who is living in this body, but the body has got sense organs. The body has got the sense organs have got desires. I have an ability to control both the desire as well as anger. Whenever the anger comes, anger is nothing else but it is a unfulfilled desire. So while acting, what Lord Krishna is saying is, there will be in a split second when a desire comes and you're supposed to act, there is a split second in which you have a chance to say yes or no. And at that time, you have to be careful. So this is the way to control desires. There was some question in the past asked by somebody, how do I control my desires? This is the answer. The 34th verse of the 3rd chapter is a very important chapter. For anyone, just go deeper and study this verse and see whether this is practical. You see, this is something which each one of us has to experience in his own self, and then learn this ability to say no when the desire comes. Suppose it's a good desire, it's okay, there's no problem, then you carry on. If you want to control that desire, this is the method. Tayorna vashamagachet. This is what is the most important word in this entire verse. Don't come under the sway of these desires which belong to the sense organs. I am not the sense organs. The step I learn is I am the mind which can control the sense organs. Mind is a higher power. It has got a higher power than the sense organs. The sense organs automatically go into the world. That is a natural tendency. So the first method is indriya nigraha. Nigraha means control. So when adharmic desires come, try to avoid the place itself. Suppose you are too addicted to watching the TV. And that is because why does this happen? Because it is the nature of the sense organs to fulfill its desire to see forms, see movies, see so many say serials. Generally, it's okay to watch TV, and that's not a problem. But suppose you get hooked to it. Suppose you get hooked to any of these sense organs related to sense objects. What Lord Krishna teaches is, follow this rule that I am not the sense organs, I am the mind, I have a mind which can control the sense organs. So dussangam can be dropped, and this is a relatively easy method because it deals with the sense organs. You can just leave the place. So the sense organs are not in touch with the sense object. That is one of the easier methods. The second more difficult method is manonigraha. Manonigraha means the mind has a capacity to develop a vasana and get into a groove. Groove means it becomes a habit. And here what we have to understand is, unless the thoughts have my support, there is a buddhi. Buddhi means there is an intellect which can judge. So here what we have to say is, I have to develop Shubha Vasanas. That means my mind has got Ashubha Vasanas. That means they are not good Vasanas. I have to develop. So for example, suppose I take the same TV example. I want to develop Shubha Vasanas. That means I start chanting, or I start Parayanam, or I start listening to a Gita talk. Instead of seeing the TV, I start watching or listening to Gita, like most of you are doing now. This is called as manonigraha, controlling the mind and the thoughts by what? By developing Shubha Vasanas, auspicious thoughts. The third method to control desires is vivekaha. Viveka means discrimination. What we do is we see, is this desire going to fulfill, is it going to give me total fulfillment, is it going to give me happiness eternally, or is it only a temporary phase? Most of the desires you will find they are all impermanent. They give impermanent results. Okay, we find some joy a little bit, and then again we are back to square one. So this discrimination is what will help us. So again, what we say is there are three methods. One is to physically be away from situations, which is called as indriya nigraha. Second is to develop more positive vasanas so that we can drop the lower desires. The third is trying to understand and thinking whether and do an analysis and say, by following these desires, am I going to get permanent happiness? Nitya anitya vastu vivekaha. Nitya anitya means, is it real? Is it unreal? Is it permanent? Is it permanent, or is it impermanent? Development of attachment to the Lord is a permanent relationship. When we say attachment, it also means just learning the Gita. See, this is another way of slowly developing our mind. When you will find that many people, they say that after started learning the Gita or the scriptures, a lot of other desires have come down. Many people, they say this, especially people who have done study for say a couple of years or 4 or 5 years, you'll find that they are all very happy because they have seen that there is a lot of happiness in this study. It gives peace of mind. It brings tranquility to the mind. These are the ways you become a man. This is like you purify your mind. Very beautiful lessons in chapter 3. And in this 38th verse, Lord Krishna is teaching us how is this desire covered in our real nature. That means, why is my real nature why is this nature of desire, why do I get hooked to this? Because he says that this desire covers the Atma, which is the real pearl in us. The pure awareness consciousness principle is being covered by desires. The moment I come to know that I am Atma, this Atma is being covered how? In 3 different ways. How does it cover? It can cover like a fire is covered by smoke. I have taken this verse for meditation in the previous sessions of Atma Bodha. That time meditation, and I have covered this verse before. Dhume na vriyate vannihi yatha darshamalena cha yatho lebna vrto garbha tatha tene damavrutam. He gives 3 examples of how these desires are covering our real nature. Like the fire is covered by smoke. If it is a smoke covering the fire, you just blow it away. And then it'll go. Then you can see the fire. Suppose your mirror is covered by dust. You just wipe it off. This is a second method by which our discriminating ability is covered. The third is like an embryo is covered by the womb. Very difficult to remove this, very difficult to clear this. And here, so what happens is our real nature is covered. Our real nature of I am, that pure consciousness, is covered by these desires in us, in our own mind. And by trying to control in this 3 methods which he has given before in the previous verse, the Lord says, follow this. And this is the question which Arjuna was asking and to which Lord Krishna gave these three examples of how to control desire and anger. And then he gives he gives a very beautiful ladder. What happens and what controls what? He says that the senses, the mind, and the intellect are the seat of the desire. They are the ones which wield our wisdom. So controlling the senses first, we can then have the knowledge and the wisdom to see the Atma. That is what he says in the two verses which we have seen. Indriyani paranyarte indrenebhya param manaha. Manasastu bara buddhi buddhete parastu saha. That means what it says is Indriyas can be controlled by the mind. The sense organs can be controlled by the mind. This is a very important chart to understand our structure. Then he says that the mind is controlled by intellect, the buddhi. And then finally, the intellect is controlled by Atma. So this is a step-by-step process of improving our personality. If your son or daughter wants to come and learn from you, this is the method which we have to follow. First, control the sense organs, then control the mind with values, then see the Atma, which is revealing the intellect also. Our pure awareness consciousness is the ultimate seer in us, which sees the intellect, which sees the thoughts in the intellect. That is what it means. Initially, we may not be able to see the thoughts directly if our mind is not purified. This is what is the problem with many of us when we start and sit in for meditation. Because the mind is rajasic, it is so full of thoughts. It is not controlled. The sense organs are dumping with a lot of thoughts inside. That is how we all begin. But then slowly it is possible by the method taught by Lord Krishna in this chapter, we can follow the karma yoga style and then purify our mind. So in conclusion, what he says, there are two steps involved. One is called as karma yoga. There are two lifestyles in this. This is what Lord Krishna teaches. And he says, this is what he says, there is a karma yoga lifestyle. There is a Jnana yoga lifestyle. The karma yoga lifestyle is called as pravriti marga. Pravriti marga means for all of us, which is we are all householders. What we have to do is follow this methodology of karma yoga mainly. It is not important for us to take sannyasa. This is what is Arjuna's question in the next chapter. In the 5th chapter, he will ask this question because he wants to run away from the battlefield and he wants to find a trick so that Lord Krishna will say, yes, you can go. Let some other people fight. So for householders, the karma yoga method is the best method of gaining the knowledge and being free. Lord Krishna was a householder. Arjuna was a householder. If they could get the knowledge of Atma and become free, we all can. That is what it means. So to drop raga dvesha from the mind, follow karma yoga. To develop maturity, follow karma yoga. And there are 4 There are three types of karmas which we all do. Kahika means through the physical body. Vachika means through the mouth, like chanting, parayanam. These are all the actions which we do. Physical karmas, verbal karmas, and then manasa karma. Manasa means through the mind. You should use all the three methods to control our mind. Japa yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, rituals, these are all for nothing else but only to purify the mind. So many people get confused in life. They say, I'm following raja yoga, I'm following this yoga, I'm following that yoga, but they don't understand this difference between what is that particular action, what is it meant for? They don't know the purpose. They don't know the goal. They think that all this will give them freedom, but it will not give them the final benefit. It is a step one is follow karma yoga. Step two is jnana yoga. Then the result will be moksha. Ajnani will work with attachment for happiness. Ajnani means an ignorant person. He will work for happiness, he will do actions. Whereas a jnani will work out of happiness because he knows I am that pure consciousness, which is never dying, which is always there, eternal. So karma yoga is a step to get jnana yogyata praptihi, to get the qualification, the adhikaritvam. That means you, for example, you clear the TOEFL exams, or for getting the IIT seat, you clear GMAT to go to a foreign university. So similarly, these are the preparations. Karma yoga gives us the purity of mind, which is a preparation for jnana yoga. So chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5 are all meant to develop the mind only. Jnana yoga is called as nivritti marga. Nivritti marga means it's purely for sannyasi. That means that if you want to devote completely for jnanam, that is called as a sannyasa way of life. Those people who take up sannyasa, they do chanting and they do brahma dhyanam throughout the day. And they are very fixed. They want to get atma jnanam and get mukti. But for householders, the best is karma yoga together mixed with jnana yoga. In jnana yoga, for householders, what we say is do shravanam, do mananam, and nididhyasana. These are the three steps: listening to the scriptures, reflecting on the scriptures, and then removing the wrong habits from the mind, which is called as nididhyasana. Suppose you have got the jnanam, then you want to act in the world. After jnanam, after knowing I am the pure consciousness, you are a Swami. You are a liberated person. Even if you are a liberated person, you still act. That is what Bhagavad Gita teaches. The actions of a jnani are called as loka sangraha. Loka sangraha means for the happiness of the society. I act. So a jnani will work out of happiness, where a ajnani will work for happiness. In the scriptures, we say, even in this chapter, we see one or two verses which says that emperors, kings like Janaka, they learned the scriptures. We find how a king learns. In the Upanishads, we find such stories where a king learns, in spite of learning, he still follows his duty. He still runs his kingdom. So we can also be the same. We can also learn this, and then when we have learned that we are Atma, and then what we say, then they say, that we are working out of happiness, not for happiness. Then we get this jnanam, that I am that pure consciousness, and we have removed those three layers which were there in us, which was the reason for us to do karma. Once the layers are removed out of our vision, then what they say is the jnani destroys the three karmas, which is sanchita, agami, and prarabdha. The principle, just to conclude here now, the principles of karma is, first we should note that we cannot drop action. So we cannot say that I'm going to go to Himalayas, or I'm going to, because even if you go to Himalayas, you will still have to act. The nature of the mind will prompt us to do action. What we require is work without tension, and while receiving the result, also keep the mind calm. Tension comes because of our abhimanam with the body. I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. Dropping this identification is freeing ourselves from being a doer or enjoyer. This is what is our final lesson. The final lesson is what? I am the pure consciousness principle. I am aware that the body is acting, the mind is thinking, and actions are going on throughout the life, day after day, day after day. Trying to remember this lesson, that I am a witness sakshi, and the body mind is acting in the world as per the law of karma, as per the law of the universe. When I do this, what I get is samatvam. I get a balanced mind. I'm not tossed up and down. If I don't have this knowledge, then I cannot follow the karma yoga lifestyle. Then we'll just be doing some actions. That's all. This is the difference between karma and karma yoga. And we must learn that there are three gunas in the prakriti: sattva, rajas, and tamas. We will learn more about these gunas in the 14th chapter. But here we must note that my mind is controlled as per the gunas of nature. Don't take responsibility. My mind is like this, my body is this. It is because that is the guna, that is the natures of the five elements. But I am not the body. I am different than the body. That is where the knowledge of Atma is very, very useful. Let interactions be dharmic, with full awareness and alertness. And remember that whenever there are actions, very rajasic actions, when we are very, very tempted to do certain things, remember that it is the power of Rajo Guna. There is a power in this body of the five elements, which pushes us to act. And I also can withdraw that power through the knowledge of, which is called as sattvic. See, there are two forces in us. Sattva will tell us that this is the nature of our Atma. Rajas will tell us the body to keep pushing. This fight, if it happens always, you should try to remember the knowledge, and then you can be alert. Then you can handle desire, you can handle anger at any time. So the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, which it gives about our real nature, is a fantastic knowledge to pursue, to lead a good life. And by following this itself, we can probably get 80% of the benefits of the Gita. Pursue karma yoga, reduce sakama. Sakama means selfish desire prompted activities, increase selfless activities, get purity of mind, chitta shuddhi, and become victorious in kama and krodha, desire and anger. You have got the victory over these two forces, powerful forces in all of us. So chapter 3 teaches us a very, very beautiful lesson, how to win over our desires and anger by following karma yoga method. This will help us for the jnana yoga, which is what is required ultimately for getting freedom from the identification with the body and mind. It is possible. Today we are attached to the body, we are attached to the mind because we don't have the knowledge. Bhagavad Gita will teach us the knowledge. As every chapter you will learn a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. In the first 6 chapters, we will be learning all about ourselves, the jiva. In the second chapter, we learned that we have 2 natures. We have Atma and Anatma. In the third chapter, we are learning how to handle the Anatma. Anatma means the body-mind. How to act, how to purify our actions. So the ultimate lesson from this chapter is, let all our actions, whatever we do, let it go with one goal: I should purify my mind. If we have this as our main goal while acting, we would have learned a lot from this chapter. The next chapter, I put here all the important verses. You can just go through them at your leisure. These are the important verses of this chapter. Every chapter I give some of the verses. These are meant for knowledge, primarily for knowledge of what the Gita is giving us. And you can use this, some of this information also for reflection. Next week is going to be Diwali, 14th of November. So we will not have a class next week. We will have the next class on the 21st, which is the Saturday. So next week there'll be no class, because even if I have the class, I'm sure I'll be the only person talking and nobody listening. So 21st will be our next class. We will do chapter 4, which is a beautiful chapter, and it's a very useful chapter. It will teach us how I can. The title of the next chapter is Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. That means, how can I have the jnanam that I am Atma, I am the pure consciousness, and still I can do and drop the actions. That is called as dropping the action is called as sannyasa, but still doing the karma. That's a beautiful method which we will learn in the 4th chapter, which we will see next week. Not next week, we'll see it on the 21st. With that, I will close today's session, and then if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer. Let's close with the prayers. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Let me see if there are any questions on the chat. The first question, what are the equivalent samskaras for other varnams, you may please answer at the of the session. Yeah, okay. What are the equivalent samskaras for other varnams? Nandagopal, if you're there, you can ask me what, when you say samskaras for other varnams means, are you talking of brahmachari or you're talking about anybody? Can you expand your question? What exactly you mean? You have asked again on slide 13 how to develop our trained mind to act like what's prescribed. Can Grasta follow Jnana Yoga after going through step 1, Karma Yoga? Yes, you can follow Jnana Yoga as soon while doing Karma Yoga itself. You can follow Jnana Yoga. That is what is recommended. That means a householder does all the duty for the family. At the same time, he starts learning about his real nature. That is what is recommended by the Bhagavad Gita. So I hope this is what you wanted to know. In case you have, you can ask me at the end of this chat session questions. The senses are controlled by the mind, and mind by the intellect, and intellect by the soul. Then why does our mind sway from God and get attracted or entangled in the material world when soul is supreme in body and control and part of it? Okay, very good question. See, the thing is that this universe, we must remember, his question is very beautiful question. He says that if ultimately the soul is controlling the intellect, why are the senses not are going out into the world? So the answer to this is, we must be clear that this universe is got a certain law. The law is, as per the actions you do, you get your results. This is the fundamental law, and this is what the scriptures teach us as the law of karma. Prarabdha karma, sanchita karma, and agami karma. I have explained these three karmas in detail in Tattva Bodha sessions. So if you have not attended Tattva Bodha, please go through the session. There are 5 sessions of Tattva Bodha where I have taken in the last session, I think. I've taken up the 5th session. You can see the videos in my in the collection. What it means is that we are all fulfilling our vasanas. We come into the body, each one of us takes a body, we fulfill our desires, whatever we had in our earlier birth. Why earlier birth? Till yesterday, what you have desires, you will fulfill today. Suppose you wanted to go and eat a masala dosa in a nearby restaurant, you will fulfill today. So similarly, the desires keep on adding. So our desires are never fulfilled. Now, this whole universe is designed to fulfill desires, and there are 14 lokas. You see, the Lord has been so generous in creating the universe. He has created higher lokas than this. You can imagine there are Swarga Loka, there are other lokas where human desire, which you cannot be fulfilled in this world, the Lord has created a higher world also. Devatas, their world is very different. So this is the law of nature. This is what is called as prakriti. We get attracted to the world because that is how the sense organs are created. See, once you know that the individual soul who comes and takes this body has got to fulfill his desires, then you see the sense organs, the structure of the body is created in order to fulfill this vision. So once the vision is clear, then the sense organs are created so that you can come and fulfill the desires. And then if you are lucky enough, what happens is you become a jnani. That means you're so fed up fulfilling the desires of the senses, you you suddenly get a feeling, is this all life is all about? Then comes this urge that I must know what is my purpose in life. That is what is called as Pariksha Lokan in Mundaka Upanishad, where a jiva, he, instead of following the law of karma, he asks the question, what is the purpose of my life? And then that changes the entire path. So to answer your question, why does the mind sway away from God? It sways away from God because it doesn't know its nature. It has got ignorance. Now, this is how the world is. This is how the creation is. The creation is with a goal. There are 4 purusharthas I told you. Not everybody is interested in knowing the God. 99.9% want to just come enjoy the world and then leave. Again, come enjoy the world and leave. Very rarely people ask this question, is this the purpose of life? So you are one of those 1%, 0.1%. Therefore, you will ask this question because you are now learning that there is a higher principle in me. 99.9% they don't know this. The world is created to satisfy the jivas who want to fulfill their desires, and that's it. Only one desirable desire is obtain moksha or liberation. Yes, that is correct. You're right. Shama, you're right. There's only one desire ultimately. We all want happiness. If you keep a sugar, you will find that ant will go towards the sugar. It will perform the action. You can see the action. The ant is going towards the sugar, runs towards the sugar because it wants happiness. It gets happiness by eating the sugar. Similarly, we all want happiness. If you really see, all of us want only one thing in life. Why do I get married? I want to be happy. Why do I get children? I want to be happy. Why do I work hard? I want to be happy. Why do I help my parents? I want to be happy. Every action is with a purpose to become happy. Without knowing that happiness is my real nature. So that one desire is moksha. If I can drop this identification with the body and mind, you'll realize your nature itself is happiness, which is what we learn when we do avasthatraya viveka. Avasthatraya viveka is a beautiful method. If you go study the scriptures more deeply, avasthatraya viveka is the ultimate lesson. If we can learn from the Upanishads and try to realize that in us, you will find this happiness is my real nature. Atma is our nature. It is our intrinsic nature. I don't know that I am Atma. This whole waking state, dream state, the sleep state is all coming and going. It arrives and disappears, arrives and disappears. They are of a lower order of reality. But I am that pure consciousness from where this is all happening. So owning up that Atma is the final knowledge. I am that pure consciousness. Claim that consciousness as our real nature, then all the answers you'll get to all your questions. I am the seer of this body. I am the consciousness of this whole jagat, whole world. That is what is called as liberating knowledge. Owning up that pure consciousness is the final lesson from the Bhagavad Gita. In the 13th chapter, Lord Krishna will hammer that point. You are the seer. You cannot be the seen body. Body has got problems. Mind has problems. They are the seen. You are the seer. You are the seer consciousness, pure awareness. Realize that nature and be free.
The interesting, the trouble is that this mind self-deception, this which is obviously created by the ahamkara, and
Yes.
this, and the hardest one is about I want to do good. Why do you want to do good? You know, is the question which I could ask myself. Why do I want to do good?
Yeah.
Because you want a self-acknowledgement, not knowing that you have the greatest knowledge, that you are the Atman, you know, which is
Yes.
what is beyond that. That is
Correct.
the highest. But despite that, for the Vyavaharika person, you know, you almost want the world to validate your presence
Yes.
by saying, oh, so and so is so good.
Yes.
And I mean, I can understand that when you're growing as a child survives. That's an emotional survival for a child when people acknowledge and validate. But even I've left my childhood long time ago, but I still long for that validation for people, you know, and that is why we long for social company. And it's quite bizarre, really. I find that. So your analogy which you've given about the embryo, you know, the hardest one, the
Yes.
embryo
Embryo.
being,
Yeah.
yeah, covering of the embryo.
Yes.
It really seems like that, you know, part of you, you really don't want to even come out of the embryo, you know.
Yes. That's correct.
So
Yes.
it's so strange, very, the self-deception. This is what I've been contemplating very hard in the morning today. So
Yeah,
just to
that's
throw
correct.
that
That
in.
is called as the that is what is the mind plays tricking. It plays tricks on us.
Terrible,
And
very, very
and
much.
the moment you become aware that you are the consciousness principle, you will be observing your mind. You will know that you are the mind is playing a trick.
So you would recommend, you would prescribe that probably before any action, just sit for a few seconds to say, why are you doing it?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that
Yes,
might be one way of
yes,
countering that. Why are you doing
yes.
it?
That's correct. If this
You
trick is what the mind is playing, you follow another trick. I'm going to watch.
con your mind.
Yes, I'm going to watch and I'm going to ask myself, is this the right thing to do? Is this the right thing to do? Is this the right? That is how we all improve in life. Our
Yeah, thank
whole maturity comes because we become aware of our minds. Okay, Nandgopal,
you.
if your answer, if a soul or Atma itself is to Paramatma, okay, can you, if you are around, can you please ask me the question, Nandgopal?
Yeah, Guruji, my first question was, you mentioned about samskara to keep our mind pure, and we keep doing that, and like rituals of, you know, thread wearing and things like that. I
Yes.
was just asking for other varnams, you know, the those who do not go through the rituals. What are the other samskara they need to be following to keep, you know,
The only
purified?
samskaras, people who don't follow these rituals and all that, the only samskara is lead a good dharmic life. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
Very simple. Just follow dharma. Do your duty in life,
Yeah.
and whatever it comes to, in your way, you do take it as a duty.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
all. Even if you don't do other samskaras, doesn't matter. You lead a life of dharma.
Yeah.
99% of the time, your mind will get purified just by doing your duty properly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Guruji. Maybe a couple of comments, and I think I'm fine. The second question I was saying, so we go through this knowledge of how to conduct ourselves and how to develop, and what to do, what not to do. But often when it comes to the real life situation, we don't follow that. Won't tend to follow that. You know, how do we develop or train our mind to act like what's prescribed in, in Bhagavad Gita? I know this is going to take a longer time to do that.
Yeah, you see, the first thing what people generally say is you come to become aware first, and
Mm,
keep a note, a small diary, and just write down, these instances I was probably not right.
mm,
Just become more and more aware of it first.
okay.
Develop the attitude of writing down all the time whenever you feel that you may not have done the right thing. In a day, there will be one or two instances you will find, oh, maybe I didn't do correctly here. Maybe I do. So first of all, you first write it down. Write it down means just a simple one line. This particular day, this was a problem. Just one line, so that you take a control of how many times you go wrong in a week. Suppose in the office, you scolded somebody out of your own anger. Or at home, you behave very wrongly, you scolded somebody, or wife, your child, or so on, so whatever it is. So suppose you lose, for each one of us, the situation can be very, very different. The first thing is, if you can just write this down and try to see whether you can reduce the frequency of that. See, out of 10 times a week, if by observing itself, you will find that you can reduce this by 30%.
Okay, yeah. Being aware of that behavior itself.
Being aware and and also noting down, I was like this, and keeping a goal in your mind, I want to reduce this, I want to become better. So you narrow down 2 or 3 areas which need improvement, and you become aware that you have to improve.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, what are the ways in which I can try to achieve this goal?
Sure, Guruji. Okay. Thank you so much, Guruji.
Okay. If you still have some problem, you can send me a WhatsApp. I can direct you.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody else has any other question?
Secondly,
Bolo, Bawai.
This on the subject of Atma, a few weeks ago, you were saying that Atma has no male, no female, right?
Yes.
So, how if the parents to find out that the child is a male or a female, and how do they find out that? In India, there are a lot of people who want male. They seldom want girls. So how to make sure?
Well, those are all, medical sciences, they are all developed. And so your question is, how is it to do with identifying whether you have a male or a female child, or you want to know whether that's good or wrong?
No, the main subject is, most of the parents were, during those times, they only want male, they don't want female.
Oh, okay.
Now, a lot of dowries to do.
Yeah, correct. Now I understand your question. You see, what you have to say is, in your life, you should say that any child which comes to you is a presentation of God. Whether it is a male, whether it is a female, the way you should convince your children is, you should say that whatever comes to you is gift from God. Don't try to say that, I want this or I want that. That it doesn't happen in life. So this is where we have to be careful. We have to learn to accept what comes in our life.
Oh, yeah, that's
Take it as a gift of the Lord. Today is the Diwali gift which I've got. That's it,
But secondly, during the old days,
I agree with you.
Is a growing problem, so.
Yes. No, I agree with what you say. What I understand from where you are coming from, that you see, this was not practiced in the past in the life.
Yes.
They don't understand the nuances of life in detail. Therefore, they get into a problem.
So it's not our choice, like this.
No, it is not our choice. Here is where we should be careful. We should say that this is not a choice; it's a choiceless situation.
So it's the Lord who makes the choice. Is it?
It is Bhagavan who gives us the choice, and he says, "This is what you have asked for, as per your previous birth's karma, phalam." You see, we are all today. Whatever we are experiencing is as per the law of nature, law of prakriti. We are experiencing our past punya papams. So if you are deemed to get a child of this and this, you will get that child. That's it. Take any experience. Why child? Actually, even if you see your own health, for example, I fall sick. Don't know. Because the disease just comes to me. I have no control on it. You fall sick. Yeah.
The main problem is, you see, this idea was not given to the human being by the pandits, you know.
Yes.
That to accept whatever is coming to you is through the Lord.
That's correct.
So that's the main problem during those times. It was not given that. And the females are mostly very highly educated during those times.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And then there is the pandits to be blamed, isn't it?
Yes.
They are the knowledge people. They should share this knowledge to the human beings in the early stage, rather than, you know, having cruelty to the human.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Anybody else has a question?
Okay, thanks.
Okay, if there are no questions, then we'll close for the day, and then we'll see you on the 21st now. Next week, there's no class. So 14th of November, because of Diwali, there'll be no class. So 21st November, we'll start the chapter 4. Okay? All right. Thank you and good night. And all of you, wish you a very, very happy Diwali and enjoy your good celebration at home. And we'll see you back on the 21st. Thank you. And good luck to all of you. Good night.
Good night.
Secondly,
Bolo?
I have one last week on the Saturday class. We had you were saying that Jnana also experienced body pain, like a wise man, that means he experienced the pain like an ordinary man, is it?
Sorry?
Jnana experienced body pain like an ordinary man, isn't it?
Yeah. Body pain is also because of our prarabdha only.
So you see, if there's a seeker who is new, then he will ask himself, then what's the difference between a jnani and himself?
Yeah. You see, jnani means, you see, the person, you see, between, when it comes to the pain of the body, whether you have the knowledge or not, see, they will still go through the pain. And jnani and ajnani both will go through the pain. But a jnani will know that I am not the body. It is the body which is undergoing the pain. I am not undergoing pain. That's what it means.
So that means the seeker is not aware of that.
Yes,
not the body.
That's correct. Yes, the other person is not aware that he is not the body. Whereas people like you know that Bhagavad Gita has taught me, I am not the body, I am the pure consciousness.
So he is unaware of the...
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good night.